The broadcast of Emperor Hirohito's surrender, also known as the dual-voice broadcast, takes us back to a historic moment on August 15, 1945. Through radio waves, Hirohito announced to the Japanese people that his government had officially accepted the Potsdam Declaration, calling for the unconditional surrender of the Japanese military after the suffering of World War II. The speech was delivered in formal classical Japanese, with many pronunciations unfamiliar to the average Japanese person. The address did not directly refer to Japan's surrender, but stated that the government had been instructed to accept the joint declaration from the United States, Britain, China, and the Soviet Union. This confused many listeners unfamiliar with the declaration, unsure if Japan had truly surrendered. The poor audio quality of the radio broadcast and the formal language used exacerbated the confusion. The speech was not broadcast live but replayed from a phonograph recording. On August 14, 1945, NHK sent sound technicians to the Imperial Palace to record the broadcast. A microphone was set up in a bunko office beneath the Imperial Household Ministry, and Emperor Hirohito began his speech between 23:25 and 23:30. In the first recording, his voice was deemed too soft, and at the technician's suggestion, he offered to re-record. On the second attempt, his voice was considered too high-pitched, with some characters occasionally skipped. Nevertheless, the second version was regarded as the official one, with the first version as a backup. However, many elements of the Imperial Japanese Army refused to accept that Hirohito would end the war, viewing it as a dishonorable act. Led by Major Hatanaka Kenji and Jiro Shizaki, around 1,000 officers and soldiers stormed the Imperial Palace on the night of August 14, 1945, to destroy the recording. They intended to form a new government led by the army minister, continuing to pursue victory by any means. On August 14, they stormed the Imperial Palace in an attempt to destroy the phonograph recording of the Emperor's surrender speech before it was broadcast. Hatanaka and Jiro Shizaki, along with their colleagues, knew full well that they were directly defying imperial orders, but they claimed loyalty to the imperial institution above all else. In other words, they believed that they understood the will of the empire better than the emperor himself. As a first step, Hatanaka personally killed the commander of the Imperial Guard Division who tried to resist the coup. However, when the contingent entered the palace, they couldn't find the black discs in the labyrinthine complex. As they ran to search for them, General Tanaka Shizuichi, mobilizing the Imperial Guard forces, confronted the rebel officers, berating them for acting against the spirit of the Japanese army and canceling the coup. Hatanaka then drove a motorcycle, and Shizaki, riding a horse through the streets, distributed leaflets explaining their motives and actions. Within an hour before the Emperor's surrender broadcast, around 11 o'clock on August 15, Hatanaka placed his pistol to his forehead, then shot himself, and Shizaki stabbed himself with a dagger, then shot himself. On the morning of August 15, 1945, NHK stations echoed with the announcement that the Emperor would address the nation. People dressed formally, anticipating this historic moment. As noon arrived, an NHK announcer instructed the nation to stand, preparing them for the very important announcement. The national anthem, Kimigayo, played, followed by the Emperor's speech. This was the first experience for many Japanese to hear the Emperor's voice and his first radio address. To address the confusion of the public, after the speech concluded, a radio announcer provided clarification that the Emperor's message meant Japan's surrender. After the announcement, most Japanese mourned in their homes or businesses, reflecting on the significance of this historic event.